When we lived in New York City, every time I would go for a walk or go for a run, people would ask me about my shoes. And that's really weird because if you've ever been to New York, like, people don't really look at you or talk or whatever on the street. They just walk past you. But I would go out for a run and 8 or 10 people would stop me and say, "Where did you get those shoes?"
That's true.
And we would have like a 5-minute conversation on the side of the street, which is just really weird.
Mm-hmm.
And
it wasn't all tourists either.
It was people who lived in New York. And the shoes I was wearing, if you've ever seen them, are called the Vibram 5 Fingers.
They look like frogs.
They look
like a frog foot.
Yeah, it's like it's a shoe. There's actually no support in it. It's basically just like an outer sole that goes on the bottom of your foot, and there's little pockets just like toe socks.
Right.
For your toes, and it helps you run barefoot without, cutting your feet on, glass or rocks or whatever. And they're really fun, but they look really weird. Like, and they're relatively new, so not many people have seen them.
Yeah.
And it's just different enough that people will do a double take when they just happen to look at your feet for whatever reason.
It's pretty different.
It is different. And, not only, inevitably I would be stopped. It's like, what are those? Why are you wearing them? Are they comfortable?
And then where can I get them?
Where can I buy them? And no joke, I must have sent probably in the time, I only had these for about a year, but I probably sent 50 or 60 people to the one store in Manhattan that had them.
Yeah, kids on the subway were the most fun because their parents would be like, "Stop looking," and they'd be like, "What?"
Yeah, and it was the store that had them was City Sports on 34th. Between 34th and 5th.
And Rockefeller Center had them too.
Rockefeller Center had them too. So I sent them. And I actually, before we left New York, I'm not sure if I told you this, I went to those stores and I asked them if people were coming in to buy them.
Yeah?
And they say, yeah, we've actually been breaking sales records every year because they were one of the only stores that had them. And the shoes themselves...
It's like their own marketing campaign.
Advertise themselves because you can't wear them and not tell other people about them and why you're wearing them and where to get them and how much they cost. And so, being remarkable in itself is a really wonderful marketing strategy because if you're weird, if you're different, if there's something about you that's not normal, people pay attention to that. Because if you're boring, you get filtered. If you're just like everything else, you get filtered. And, one of Seth Godin's first really huge books was called Purple Cow. And it's based on this idea of remarkability. And the analogy is, after a while, drive through the country, fields full of brown cows, completely boring. After a while, you just tune them out. Brown cow, brown cow, brown cow. It's boring. One purple cow standing in the middle of the field, and you will pull over, you'll stare, you'll talk, you'll take pictures. It's exciting. It's different. And, we'll talk a little bit later about the role of novelty and how we process information, but new weird things get our attention.
Yeah.
And the newer or stranger or more different or more remarkable you can be, the more people will talk about you. I was actually just found an article in the New York Times. It's a great article called "Wiggling Their Toes at the Giants."
Oh, yeah?
It was about Vibram 5 Fingers.
Nice.
And by building something remarkable, I mean, the biggest distinguishing factor about the 5 Fingers are the toes.
Well, yeah.
Okay? That's what makes it different from any other shoe. They could have just enclosed it like everything else. It would probably do almost the same thing. But by changing their design, by doing something different, by doing something remarkable that gets attention, they essentially built an advertising strategy into the product itself, and it's free. They don't have to pay it for any of the talk or the buzz that they generate about this. It's built into the product. And what I found in the New York Times article is I was wondering, is this working for them? And, personally, I know that we've been sending people to go buy these shoes because they're awesome. And if you're interested in barefoot running, you should get them because they're great. But according to the New York Times, sales of the Five Fingers line have tripled every year since they were introduced in 2006.
Wow, that's great.
And in 2009, the line crossed $10 million in revenue for something brand new.
Nice.
And by the way, Five Fingers weren't built for running. They were built originally as a shoe that people who were on like sailboats
Right.
could use, kind of as a deck shoe so they could improve their grip without, adding a lot of weight and a lot of bulk. So it wasn't even the original purpose. But because they built it and it was such a remarkable thing, people started talking. And when people talk, people get interested, and when people get interested, people buy.
And well, when it's coming from someone else, it seems much more trustworthy too than if it's an advertisement coming from the company.
Exactly. And so, people always talk about, building buzz or word of mouth marketing or whatever. That is completely dependent upon how remarkable your product is. And the more remarkable things that you can build into the product itself, the easier it will be for people to talk about it. The more people will want to talk about it. I mean, it's fun to talk about Five Fingers.
Well, and I think being remarkable doesn't just have to be being weird. It can be being so much better in customer service than all the other guys.
Right.
Or offering some customizations that other people don't offer. I think that it's important to remember you don't have to be totally out there because you may not be offering that kind of a product.
Right. It's got to be enough that people find it worthwhile to talk about. People find it rewarding to talk about.
Right.
And if you can build something remarkable into your core offering, and doing that is mostly a matter of experimentation.
Well, even like Bed Bath & Beyond, you can return something there from any store as long as they carry it or as long as they even carry the brand. That's pretty remarkable, and that's not off the wall.
Yeah, and people always talk about it.
Yeah, or like Zappos, the free shipping is always a big thing. I mean, there are things that you can build in, and I'm sure we'll talk about those in other sections. Doesn't have to be crazy five finger shoes.
Yeah.
But just something different and fabulous.
But yeah, something different and fabulous and worth paying attention to. The more you can build that into what you're actually offering. So this is the part of marketing that intersects with the value creation process.
Definitely.
As you're creating value, the more really awesome things, remarkable things, different things that you can build into it, the better you'll be able to market the product because people will want to pay attention to things that are different.
Sounds good.
And that's remarkability.